Hi there, I'm back again to share another really quick and simple recipe with you. This recipe for a gluten-free tea loaf has been one of my most popular recipes on the blog. It's something I used to make years ago when I worked in a nursing home as a traditional cake. And like so many things, when you just switch to flour, it works out perfectly. It's a gluten-free version. So it's nice and easy. I just thought I'd quickly show you how I do it. The full recipe's over on the blog, so you can check that out as well. But for now, I just thought it's quite good to see something visual, isn't it? And then hopefully encourage you to make it even more. So I'm just going to drop the camera down and you can see what I've got then on my worktop, and I'll just go ahead and show you. Okay, won't be a moment. Okay, so in the bowl I've got some sultanas. On my recipe I just mentioned about sultanas and I suggest about mixed fruit as well. I've also thrown in a few cherries as well. I do love cherries going into a fruit loaf, but that's just me. So I've put about 6 cherries in there as well. So I'll leave it up to you whether you ever want to do that. Into the bowl then, I'm just going to add a tablespoon of syrup. So sorry about the door slamming there, we've got a really wonky kitchen drawer. Okay, so just put a tablespoon of syrup into there. And then I brewed a cup of tea just before, so that's just black tea, just standard black breakfast tea. And I let it brew for quite a while, so it's a nice strong cuppa. And then you just pour that in, okay. And then to that, I also add the sugar as well. So I've got some muscovado sugar, light muscovado sugar. So I'll just add that in there and then give it all a good stir around. Now with that, you just need to let that soak so it'll plump the fruit out. I'm going to let that soak just for about an hour, just so I can show you the recipe. So I'll be back again in a moment just to show you that. Okay, so the fruit's been soaking now for just over an hour. I would suggest that you do soak it for a good few hours. I've not soaked it quite as long, just so I can show you today. But I would say definitely soak it for a good few hours. And if you can, cover it in foil or a plate, and even soak it overnight, because that will plump the fruit up even more. Just pop it in a cool place. It doesn't have to be in the fridge as long as it's not anywhere too warm, because there's nothing in there that'll come to any harm. But I say don't have it anywhere too warm. So all you need to add to this now is an egg. So that's a large egg that I've popped in there. Again, as I say, the recipe is on my blog. And then the flour. And I'm using today Sainsbury's gluten-free self-raising flour, which is my go-to flour at the moment. I use the self-raising for things like sponges and fruit cakes and things like that, and then and also for scones as well, and then the plain I tend to use for pastries and things. So just give it a good old mix in. It's so simple. You don't need any electric whisk or anything like that. Just a large metal spoon is absolutely fine, because you're not looking at getting air in there or anything like that. And it really is unassuming how it looks now, but it's amazing how it turns out. It's such a great recipe and a great cake, and it's one that will freeze really well as well. So you know, once it's cooled, you can either slice it if it's just yourself eating it, and then wrap it in foil and then pop it in a freezer bag and have it in the freezer. Or if you want to save it for a later date, just wrap the whole cake in some foil and again pop it into a freezer bag, and that will be absolutely fine. It freezes and keeps really well. Okay, so today I'm just doing a £1 loaf tin. I like the size of this little tin, but should you want to go bigger, then obviously just if you're going to go for a £2 loaf tin, just double the recipe up. So just initially spoon it in. I've used one of the cut liners, which are just absolutely perfect, and you don't need to grease with that either. The only thing with this is when you use the liners, which I do think I would say brilliant, they don't give you as neat an edge if you spend the time as if you would if you spend the time sort of lining it, greasing it and lining it. So that's absolutely packed full, and that's all done. And that's another reason why you'll find the fruit won't ever sink in this, because there's so much fruit in there, it's just all sat on top of each other. So that's it. That's all more or less ready. And then all I do to finish it off, because it gives it a lovely crisp topping, just get some more muscovado sugar, light muscovado sugar. You don't want anything over flavoured, so you don't want the dark one. Or light brown sugar if you've not got muscovado in, that'll be fine, like light brown soft sugar. And just sprinkle some of it over the top. And that's it, all done. Now I'm going to pop this in the oven now. I'm going to bake it for about 40 minutes on a fan 160, and I'll show you when it's all done. There we go, so that's the finished tea loaf now. It ended up having about 45 to 50 minutes cooking time. I kept tagging a little bit on because when I checked it initially after the 40 minutes, the knife didn't come out clean, so I knew it needed a little bit longer. So I'm just going to let that cool now, and then I'll slice it just to show you what it looks like inside. There we go, so that's the finished tea loaf. I've just cut the end off just so you can see how much fruit's all packed in there and how it doesn't sink. And I hope you found the recipe really helpful, and I hope it's inspired you and made you want to go into your kitchen and bake a cake. Thanks as always for watching my videos, and I look forward to seeing you really soon. Bye for now.